Have you ever heard someone say, "We just grew apart," or "One day we realised we weren't happy anymore"? As a therapist, I can tell you something important. Relationships rarely fall apart suddenly. What looks like a sudden breakup is often and usually the result of months of years of small problems that were never addressed. The challenge is that many couples don't realise the early warning signs because they aren't dramatic. There's no huge argument, no major betrayal, no obvious crisis. Instead, there are small moments of disconnection that quietly accumulate over time. And by the time one partner says, "I think we're done," they may have been emotionally checking out for months or even years. So my name's Rick Cardwell. I'm a psychodynamic counsellor, a therapist, and this is a short video around the warning signs that most couples ignore. And I want to talk about why addressing the early signs of relationship failure is so important, what those signs often look like, and what you can do before your relationship reaches a point where recovery becomes much more difficult. One of the most common things I hear from couples is, "We thought things would get better on their own." Unfortunately, relationship problems rarely improve through avoidance. Imagine your car starts to make a noise. It's a strange noise. You don't turn the radio up and hope the engine fixes itself. You investigate the problem. Relationships deserve the same attention, but many people avoid difficult conversations because they fear conflict. They tell themselves, "It's not that bad. We've both been stressed. We'll deal with it later." The problem is that unresolved issues don't disappear. They often become resentment. And resentment is one of the most damaging forces in a relationship. When resentment builds, couples stop approaching each other with curiosity and understanding. Instead, they start viewing each other through a lens of disappointment. And that's when emotional distance begins to grow. One of the earliest signs of relationship decline is surprisingly simple. You stop turning towards each other. Here's what I mean. At the beginning of a relationship, partners naturally seek each other out. You share stories, you send messages, you tell each other about your day, you seek out comfort and you seek out connection. But over time, some couples stop doing this. Instead of sharing a difficult day with their partner, they keep it to themselves. Instead of celebrating good news together, they share it with friends first. The emotional connection starts to weaken. Let me give you an example. I once worked with a couple, let's call them Sarah and David. There was no infidelity, no major arguments, no dramatic crisis. But Sarah told me something revealing. She said, "When something good happens, he's not the first person I want to tell anymore." That sentence tells us a lot, because emotional intimacy isn't just about sharing pain, it's also about sharing joy. When partners stop turning towards each other for both support and celebration, disconnection starts to develop. Now, many people think constant arguing is the biggest danger to a relationship. Sometimes it is, but what concerns me even more is when couples stop arguing altogether. Now, I'm not talking about healthy couples who communicate well. I'm talking about couples who have simply given up. They stop raising concerns because they believe nothing will change. Instead of discussing problems, they silently withdraw. I've seen relationships where both partners describe things as fine, yet they felt profoundly lonely. Healthy relationships don't avoid conflict, they manage conflict. The goal isn't to never disagree, the goal is to feel heard, to feel understood and respected when disagreements happen. When people stop trying to repair problems, that's often a sign they're losing hope. And hope is essential for relationship recovery. Another warning sign is something that psychologists often call negative sentiment override. So, in simple terms, you begin interpreting everything your partner does through a negative filter. For example, your partner forgets to buy milk. Instead of thinking they forgot, you think they don't care anymore. Your partner is quiet after work. Instead of thinking they've had a stressful day, you think they don't want to spend time with me. Over time, couples create stories about each other. And if those stories become increasingly negative, every interaction starts to reinforce them. I remember a couple where one partner described the other one as selfish. When we explored their relationship, it became clear that almost every action was being interpreted through that label. Even thoughtful gestures were dismissed. Once negative narrative becomes deeply established, rebuilding trust and connection becomes much harder. That's why addressing problems early matters so much. Think of a relationship like physical health. If you notice symptoms early and seek support, the chances of recovery are usually much higher. Now, the same applies emotionally. The earlier couples address communication issues, resentment, emotional distance, and unmet needs, the easier those patterns are to change. In my experience, seeking help isn't a sign that your relationship is failing. It's often a sign that you're committed to protecting it. Unfortunately, many couples wait until they're in crisis mode. By then, one partner may already be halfway out of the door emotionally. And while relationships can absolutely recover from difficult places, the process is often more challenging than it should be. If you take one thing away from this video, let it be this. Don't wait for a relationship crisis before paying attention to your relationship. Pay attention to the small changes, the conversations you're no longer having, the affection that's fading, the resentment that's building, the distance that's growing. Small problems addressed early often stay small. Ignored problems will tend to grow. And here's a question I encourage every couple to ask each other regularly. What is one thing we could do this month to feel more connected? It's a simple question, but it opens the door to meaningful conversations before problems become overwhelming. Relationships don't thrive because people never face challenges. They thrive because people address challenges while there's still enough connection, trust, and goodwill to work through them together. So if this video was helpful, please let me know in the comments. And if you know someone who may benefit from hearing this message, then please share the video with them. And for yourself, if you want to have a call, a chat about your mental health, just message me through the usual social media outlets or through my website. And we can arrange to have a free strategy call. If you're thinking of professional work, we can move on to that. But thanks for watching for now. And I'll be back with another video shortly.